Alright, the date is April 7th, and we're just surveying the damage here from the last 2 days of rain. We went from moderate drought conditions to borderline flooding. We got 4 inches, almost 4 inches of rain in 2 days' time, so the ground was quite dry. It saturated the ground and the rest started running off. There's not a lot of damage done to the rows here. I will have to dig out a little bit of the irrigation channel in the center, but all in all, when we drag up the dirt from the sides, everything should be okay. Now what we're looking at here, if you can see these tiny little plants here, that would be my Indian sweet corn that I've been developing for several years now. I refer to it as Hensley's speckled sweet corn. It's about the 7th or 8th generation that I've been working on. I originally had some Merit sweet corn that had cross-pollinated with some of my Indian corn. I isolated out what few kernels were slightly shriveled. All the sweet corn will shrivel, and the Indian and field corn will not. It will still remain plump even though it's dried. But the higher the sugar content, the more shriveling will occur. So if you can pick all the shriveled kernels, those will be the sweet ones. And I basically took those and mixed them with candy corn, which is another breed of sweet corn, and then mixed them over and over and over until I've got what I have now. So by isolating out for color and for sweetness, I've developed the breed like I have it. I've also lately, the last few years, been isolating for specific traits such as taller stalks. I don't keep kernels from anything less than 6 feet tall, and for the last 2 generations I've been keeping back only kernels from ears that came from stalks that produce 2 or more ears per stalk. A lot of your sweet corn only makes 1 good ear per stalk, and oftentimes the stalks are between 4 and 5 feet tall. But I use the stalks with my rabbits. I cut them, dry them, and then feed them to the rabbits during the wintertime. So it's important to have a tall stalk. Now what we're looking at here would be the beans that I planted a few weeks ago. These are tiger's eye beans, and they're just starting to come up. They're from Peru and Argentina. They're more acclimated to extreme climates than a lot of the green beans that you purchase in the store. So I wanted to give them a try and just see how they do out here in the crazy Texas weather. Now over here we have the agate soybeans. They're all starting to come up pretty well. And then right over here we have the potatoes. I believe they were just starting to sprout, pop up out of the ground in the last video. It's only been a few weeks, and they're really coming on strong. And that's as a result of the rabbit manure that's been plowed in. Now there are a few gaps here and there. Some of the seed potatoes didn't do as well as I'd intended. Now if we go to the end of this row and then this last row here, these are a little experiment. Basically everything over here was small potatoes. They were like new potatoes, little small, also known as fingerling potatoes. They were all the small stuff left over after harvest last year. Generally I just clean them off and boil them in a pot, skins and all, but I didn't have time to get everything, so I had a 5-gallon bucket left, and I planted this entire row and then the back portion of this row with those, just to see how they produce. I'm curious to see if they'll produce full-size potatoes or if they produce a smaller, less pronounced potato. Now over here, things are not coming along quite as well. It took a long time to get in these last couple of breeds of potato, but they are starting to come up. These would be the Mountain Rose, which are high in antioxidants. They're a red potato, and then they actually have a pinkish red flesh to them. And we have a few here and there of the purple. I have Purple Majesties coming up from right in this area. Actually, I take it back. They're a little further down, but anyway, we have a few different varieties all popping up in these rows, but they are running quite behind. Now most of the rest of the garden has been planted now, and in a few weeks, as soon as everything starts to come up, then we'll revisit back. That way we can see everything. I've got several different types of wax beans, green beans, cream peas, field peas, all of those different things planted, as well as some okra, some dragon tongue beans. And then we'll also set out the barrel planters for all of the hot peppers. And I'm also going to try a new technique, container gardening, with the squash and the cucumbers. I've had a lot of trouble with squash bugs as of late, so this new technique, I'm going to use half barrels with the squash planted in the barrels and a fence running along behind them, and then I'm going to tie the squash up to the fence as they grow. That way there will be more air to them, they'll be more exposed, and there will be fewer hiding places for the squash bugs, and they'll be easier to remove. All you have to do is spray it with water, the squash bugs fall off, and then you just kill them when they hit the ground. Otherwise, in standard gardening practices, squash bugs can get in and under everything, and they'll eat the entire plant and destroy it. Some poisons will keep them away, but I'm trying to keep away from any unnecessary insecticides or pesticides out here. So that's all for now. As I said, the potatoes are looking nice. Everything else is just starting to pop up. We've had some very odd weather as of late. A couple of late freezes, but everything powered through the freeze, so nothing got bit back by the few little cold snaps we had a week or so ago. And they've survived the flooding that we've had in the last 2 days. So in another 2 weeks, everything should definitely look much more like a garden, and we'll update you then. Good luck, good gardening, and have a great day.